Hey, everybody, this is episode 157 of Mastering Local Marketing, a very popular podcast. And to all of our foreign listeners, thank you for listening and sending it on to your cohorts. The principles we talk about are ubiquitous. I love that word. And they can go to any culture because marketing yourself is the same everywhere. And so is likability. People like to think they make buying decisions based on price, quality, convenience, or logic. And quite frankly, sometimes they do. But in local business, wherever the heck you are, there is another factor that quietly influences almost every decision. Well, I already said what it was. But the question is, Adriana, do people like you? Do they like your team, your tone, your story, your attitude, the way you treat people? This episode looks at the psychology of likability in local marketing and why customers often choose the business they feel best about when buying. He's Matt Hansen, a digital marketing professor with, I would say, a fair to Midland likability factor.
Fair. Wow, I got the fair.
Fair to Midland. That is a term that our producer Adriana Alvarez, who just graduated from college, has never heard. Right? Fair to Midland.
That means I get a 6.5 out of 10. I think is where he's going with that. That's funny.
Can we talk about likability? I'm going to tell you, when I was a trader at the Chicago Board of Trade, and I had a buddy that started to announce games for me, also worked at the Board of Trade. So I kind of was moving there for 2 decades, and then I came here, right? And I started media. And he comes to a game, and we're going to do the game. And all of a sudden, I'm barking at all of the people running around, all the producers, and I think then it was just radio, but we might have been filming it too. And he goes, hey, man, I don't want to tell you this, but you're talking to them how a trader talks to the clerks on the floor of the Board of Trade. And he goes, it's not a good look. I go, what do you mean? He goes, people around and people who work for you, maybe they're kind of used to it now, but you're just like short, quick, kind of rude commands. And I'm like, really? He goes, yeah, you need to change that. So I always remembered that. And I don't know, Adriana, I bark commands at you from time to time, but I try to listen is part of it. He goes, you don't listen to anybody. You just tell them what to do and then turn your head. And I'm like, okay. He goes, that's spiteful. I wouldn't like you. I wouldn't buy advertising from you. And from that moment on, I tried to at least listen or get rid of that. Because my wife said I did that. I would do that with her. Hey, give me the suitcase. Boom. Move. Because when you're trading, that's what you would do. And I learned how to be rude. I learned how to be rude and quick. As a matter of fact, you can't be nice because that's seen as weakness in the pits.
Right.
But it was a whole different story when you're trying to run a retail business.
Yeah, no, your wife had to love that.
Oh, got it. And then
I think we've all done that at some point, and we get called out for it. But yeah, I think you're right that people want to be listened to. They don't want to be barked at. They want to work with people that are likable, right? And I think we've talked. I want to go back to my insurance. I'm sorry.
We're taking this from a 6.5 at best in terms of likability is going to tell us about likabilityness.
Yeah.
I got to say that I'm probably nicer now after 20 years at the Board of Trade than you are.
Really?
I would think so.
Okay.
All right, Adriana,
it's
let's get
debate.
a ruling. Who's nicer? Oh. Chose Matt Hansen.
As I sip
and
my
I'm
water.
your boss. Go get me water. Hurry up, do the coffee.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was going to say, there's no AC at the moment, so there is AC in the classrooms.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Purdue is very cold, actually.
Actually, no, it's depending on where you go. There are some places where it is terrible.
No, I mean,
we're having just a conversation to kind of show our listeners and viewers about likability. Okay, they're seeing us, we're being honest, we're laughing. Maybe we're more likable. Probably trying a little too hard is my guess. What does likability mean to you?
Likability, in the terms of marketing, and that's what we're talking about, is about understanding that you have to put the best people forward, right? So individuals that have that ability to talk with customers, to share with customers, to listen to customers are going to drive more business than people that just kind of shout and, don't listen, don't make any modifications whatsoever. This goes back to research. This goes back to sales. It goes back to a variety of different ways in marketing. I've recently, my insurance agent, I've had her for years, and she just recently retired. And, I had worked with her on a variety of different things, and I actually had taken some of my insurance policies away from her because of the company that she worked for a larger insurance company, and she just couldn't get the rates low enough to keep the same coverage and all this other stuff.
Is that the real reason?
It's the real reason. It's the real reason.
It wasn't like you saw her talking in a degrading fashion to her employees?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. Not like you. So,
can't believe my own. We work very closely together. Says you're more likable than me. That's just as a.
Well, see, I pay them up front, so it's a lifetime of compliments.
Oh wait, I know what it is.
Yeah.
Adriana just got her bachelor and had to take a bunch of classes from you, and now she's going into her master's when you will teach her
No,
again.
she won't see me.
No, all right.
No, so
Well,
can't.
Your friends, she'll see your friends. So anyways,
Anyway.
I know what it is. There's always an angle.
No, there's no.
There's always an angle why I'm not the most likable person in the room.
Maybe that's why the likability scale goes in my favor.
All right, go ahead.
All right.
I'm sorry to get.
So anyways, so I have this insurance agent, and I love her to death. She's been part of the family, quote unquote, for years. But I told her, I said, this means nothing in terms of our relationship and all this other stuff. I said, but let's compare these numbers. I just can't. This doesn't make sense. And she, you know what she says to me? She's like, completely understand. Makes sense. If I can have the opportunity to quote it every year, I would love to do that. But I strongly suggest you go with a better deal than what I'm giving you. So I went to another one who was, in fact, a former student of mine. I called her up and I said, hey, we've got to move some things. And she took it, she ran with it. She's the new insurance agent essentially because she's helping us with all the different things that we need insurance for. Well, my original one has since retired and a new guy has come on and he seems great. And he asked if he could quote out some things and all this other stuff. And I said, absolutely, right? The funny part was I got one email for one policy and I didn't get anything else coming through. And it kind of went to my junk folder and I saved it. And I said, all right, well, I'm going to see what happens from here. Because I know my former one and my current one will call me or text me instantly with information when they get it. I didn't get a phone call back. I didn't get a text back. I didn't get anything back from this guy. I got no follow-up. So I'm not feeling the need to like jump back over to this old insurance company because I'm not getting the real relationship there is the between my agent and myself and having these conversations and fully like it's a back and forth follow-up. But I didn't get that with the new person. So when we talk about likability and creating resistance, I'm resistant to go back, even if they're a little bit cheaper. I'm resistant to go back because I'm not getting the same thing coming back here, right? So the personal attention, it's a simple text message. You have my phone number. I mean, you can text me and say, hey, I've got your quote. It's this much or whatever it is. Or you can call me. And I'm perfectly fine with that. But that's the difference in that sale. So if they were to come back and let's say they're $100 cheaper, I probably would still look at it, right? But if they come back and they're $1,000 cheaper, I would definitely jump back over. But now I'm not getting the thing that I value more just because I'm not getting that relationship that I'm so used to. And that's what you see with sales is people that are much more likable. We appreciate them more. We will talk to them more. We will carry on conversations about a variety of other things. Whereas people that just kind of hide behind their computer and send an email and don't really have the conversations, we don't build that rapport. We don't feel any obligation to call them back or to deal with them. So that's what I mean by likability. Put your best people forward. Now, I understand there's not everybody out there is got salespeople that are out there and selling, but if you've got a cash register that people are sitting at and you've got the most cantankerous person in the world sitting there behind that, that's not a fun interaction, right? So as you're checking out, and somebody's crabby and they, have you thought about buying this? No, I'm good, thank you, right? Like it's this pushback that we do because nobody wants to deal with anybody that's in a cantankerous mood, and that's my favorite word, by the way.
I can do every word backwards. Suarek, but that one, I always gets, that's like a one stumper. If somebody, I'm at a party and I take the lampshade off my head and they're like, all right, how about parallelogram? Oh, that's easy. It go back and forth. Statutory, erotitats. I could do it, but I can't. Cantankerous is like just whatever. It sets up badly for anybody that's slightly dyslexic. So, to summarize that, or to kind of move off of that, yes, likability, it lowers resistance. Put your best people in front-facing situations. So, let's go back to me yelling, barking rude commands at the people who work for me at a basketball game or a football game or baseball game, whatever we're announcing and producing. My clients may go to that game and they're going to see that, right? And they notice the owner, the staff, the relationship. I'll go one further. When I first left the Board of Trade, still talking like a cantankerous person from Chicago, and the city of Chicago used to be filled with people that it was okay to just kind of be rude, and that's how you had to be, and everybody knew that. And but I came and I bought the local radio station, and then I would be on the air, and then I would go out into the public. Well, I never had to deal with the public ever.
Right.
I never left my Board of Trade culture. So it was really kind of embarrassing because I thought, and people would come up and go, oh, yeah, hey, thanks for listening, bye. All right? And I had a guy named Dan McNeil. Do you know who that is?
I don't.
He was the number one sports guy in Chicago for years. He lives down here in Highland, and he and I are pretty good friends. About 15 years ago, maybe 20, he comes and he goes, hey, man, I'm going to tell you something. He's still on the air. He's still, big deal in Chicago. And he goes, all right, I'm just going to tell you, a number of people have come to me. And I go, what are you talking about? And he, honestly, he's a friend of mine. I could say he's like the rudest dude on the air. Maybe not so much off the air, but he's just really cantankerous.
Yeah.
And he goes, a number of people have told me they come up to try to tell you, and they're all excited to talk to you and meet you. You're on the air and everything. And you just brush them off. I go, well, what am I supposed to do? He goes, what do you mean, what are you supposed to do? He goes, here, I'm going to give you something. He gives me the 3-minute rule. He goes, if somebody comes up and they listen to the show regularly and they feel like they're your friend and you have a friendly voice on the air, it's just when you're off, you're just a schmuck. And so I use the 3-minute rule. If somebody listens and they come up and I'm with my wife or my family or whatever, I tell them, I go, anybody that comes up to me, they get 3 minutes no matter what. Hi, how's your family? All right, well, who else is listening? Well, I make my kid. He's 8 years old. He drives in the back, and they tell me funny story. and I'm really interested in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I would talk to them for 10 or 15 minutes, but I'm with my family, and my wife gives me the three fingers after like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And so it is a way to remember that, A, I want to talk to people, but you have to put it forward that you are on stage as a business owner more than you would ever realize.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I mean, you know, people will recognize you. People will see you out. I mean, even if you just own a local business that does enough advertising and you've kind of been in those advertising placements, people see you and they know exactly who you are. And if you're treating somebody poorly out in public, I mean, they will, you know, they'll talk to 20 other people telling, oh, I saw Jim the other day yelling at his staff. Good. You know, that's just,
That was embarrassing.
yeah. Yeah. And that's what you get. And I, to be honest, I completely understand going from Chicago downtown to more of an, kind of the area that we're in today. I would say 20 years ago is when I kind of pulled myself out of the city of Chicago and kind of was put into Northwest Indiana to understand the differences. And it took me probably 10 years to really comprehend a local mentality, and that everyone is so connected. You can hide in a city really well, and you can be like, you know, let's face it, Chicago, New York, LA, it's all the same thing. It's a lot of, a lot of pushback. It's a lot.
Flash.
Yeah, and quite honestly, even my wife called me out on it years ago when we met. She's like, "You are just so," how did she put it? It was some abrasive. Just, she would say I was cocky, and I said, "Well, you know, I had to be in those situations because I was flying all over the U.S. and I was doing all of these major deals, and you had to be that." But I quickly learned that did not work in a local area. It actually pushed people away. So I had to kind of relearn everything. And it's funny because I struggled finding business for a while because everyone's just, you know, well, I know this person, I work really well with them. And I'm like, yeah, but, you know, I've done all of these different things. And yeah, that's fine. They're a friend of mine. I work. And that's when you start to realize it's about relationships, and it's, you know, you burn somebody in a local area and more people are going to find out about it than you even have an idea, right? So
To the third or fourth power.
oh, it's absolutely crazy. So you have to understand that. I know, you know, whether you are listening in a small town that has 1,000 people in it, or you're listening in a major city, you got to realize there's a certain dynamic that you have to play in. And even if you're in a major city, even the neighborhood that you're in is going to start to notice, right? So we were in when I used to work in the city, it was in a building the first building was 13 stories high. The next one was 27 stories high. But you started to know everybody in there in those individual buildings. And then you'd meet other people around the area. And you know, people, even though you're in a major city, they would get to know who you were, and you would have lunch with different people and all this other stuff. But like, it's still a relationship business. And if you are abrasive and just come across like that, please either pull yourself out of those conversations, pull yourself out of your marketing, and put somebody in there that is more likable, because all you're doing is more damage than good. And I can count multiple businesses through the years that I've met the owner and they're in their marketing, and you just kind of go, ooh, that's never going to work.
It's going to be a tough client.
Yeah.
All right, we need to get to two more parts about this. All right. In the comments, once in a while, someone said that they like when we tell stories.
Mm-hmm.
You just got way longer in the tooth yesterday when he went from straight numbers to having a little crooked numbers in it. But so fake niceness. Let me give you an example.
Yeah.
This morning I came down here at 4:45 in the morning. I can't get morning show. I don't do the morning show anymore, but it's only been 42 days and 5 hours. that I haven't done the morning show. No, I don't miss it.
Not that you're counting.
Yeah, exactly. But I can't sleep. I'm trying to sleep past 3:50, 4 o'clock. I can't do it. I just pop out. And I come down here, and I work for a little bit, get some things done. And then I'm like, I'm going to go to Munster Donut and get some donuts and get a coffee and give my wife donuts for work. And then I realize it on my way there, and I feel bad about this because I grew up behind Munster Donut, local donut shop for 70 years maybe. And I noticed that they just opened up right on Calumet Avenue a Dutch Brothers coffee. Mm-hmm. So I'm getting ready to go into Munster Donut. I'd probably spend $30, a couple dozen donuts and a coffee. If you're in LA, you're like, you get 2 dozen donuts and a coffee for $30. I think it's more like 22. Yeah. But anyways, I turn around, I go into Dutch Brothers Coffee, and a brand new opening, right? I pull in 5:10 in the morning, and there's 3 dudes out there walking around. They just opened up. Oh, I'm from Arizona. Oh, I'm from Oklahoma. They brought people in, and they're talking to you as you're just trying to order a coffee. And all I wanted was a coffee. I said, I want to try their coffee. I love coffee. And then they're talking to me. They're asking me about the logo on my shirt, and they're trying to talk to me. And then I get up to the place where I'm going to pay. Hi, how are you? Oh, it's such a beautiful morning, blah, blah, blah. And what are you going to do today? Oh, it's so hot out there. And I'm like, It's 5. You got to know where you're at and what you're doing. It's 5:10 in the morning. These 3 guys are hanging out here, and there's people in the condos right behind it. I'm like, they're out. They're talking loud to me and everything. What if this guy wouldn't have his window open today?
Yeah, no. No.
Because I think it's the hottest day in a long time. But I was like, man, I thought maybe that they had cameras on them, and they had to do that and show they're making an effort and that kind of thing. But I'm like, at 5:10 in the morning, that fake niceness is not. I don't. I mean, it almost was too much. I don't know if I'll go back.
Yeah. Well, coffee is an interesting thing. Maybe after you've had the coffee to have the conversation, but I mean, 5 o'clock in the morning, you haven't had coffee. You've been up for an hour or two already. I mean, like, I get it. I completely understand it.
I literally kept looking away, like, hey, all right, I'm gonna fiddle with something. Okay, so what about after that? What are you gonna do later? And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Maybe this was
Did
what
you hold up the 3 fingers
in your. Yeah. He gave you like, in the training session, he taught you how to do this and how to follow up, kind of like, remember McDonald's? That's what they call suggestive selling. Yeah. As soon as you've ordered, hey, would you like some fries with that too? Did I say I wanted some fries? No, I'm sorry, but the fake niceness is built into some of these systems.
It is, and I think human beings understand they're doing it just like, it's one thing if you ask a question, right? Like, oh, you got any big plans today, as they're getting your coffee together. Okay, fine. But to continue to go on and on and on and on, I mean, again, going back to your 3-minute rule, I mean, I would assume a coffee place is trying to turn over as many people as possible. I've seen, whether it's Starbucks or, all these other ones that are popping out at this. I think we're getting a Dutch Brothers in our hometown as well. But
honestly, right around the corner here.
Yeah, they're just coffee places are popping everywhere.
Remember we've had breakfast there before. Gone. They're flattening it and they're putting a Dutch Brothers.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So they must have systems. I think this is built in.
Oh, yeah.
Fake niceness is built into their system. And I think they're going to realize that we're the Calumet region, and people work in steel mills where they bark orders. People work in oil refineries where they bark orders. We're an area where you're kind of expected as a high school coach to yell at the ref. I mean, that kind of thing could maybe be okay in Mobile, Alabama, but not here.
What's funny, have you watched Landman?
No, but I've heard about it.
So in Landman, they have this coffee place that all the guys go to in the morning. I won't get into the type of coffee place that it is, but it's basically a bunch of guys lined up in pickup trucks, and they order coffee, and the one guy in the back orders a latte with all this special stuff, and they literally all start honking at him because it's turn, right? Like turn it over as fast as possible. And I think that's what we're kind of like Landman here, where we want our coffee fast. We don't want to have the conversations, but you have to read the room, and that's the hard part. I don't think they were reading the room. I mean, if you're turning away, if you're looking away, that's sales 101. They don't want to be bothered with these questions. Let's hurry it up. Let's listen to them. So the fake niceness is one thing. I get it, that you've built it into your systems, and they've obviously been very successful if they're opening all of these franchises everywhere. But you have to read the room. You have to understand it. And I think that's the biggest thing.
Sales 101. I think, can one of these new episodes in the next couple of weeks just be titled Sales 101?
Sure.
Let's go back to that part that we covered many times, but I think that the sales funnel and the attitude towards sales, if you are looking for really, really basic stuff, you would go back and you'd find that. We got one other thing to hit real quick. The local aspect. I love when you talk about that. People want to buy off of someone who lives in their community and owns and invests in their community. If you can do as good as the national chain, you will do well in your area.
Right.
Well, you have to do well in your area, and all of this comes in as a factor, but likability might be the number one factor.
Yeah.
Outside of the product.
Yeah, I mean, I was at a high school open house for one of my kids' friends the other day, and we were talking about restaurants. And they were talking about Crown Point, Indiana, and how there's just a plethora of restaurants, and many of them over on Broadway are more chain focused, but you still have a lot of local restaurants. And that was what this person that I was talking to was like, I love the fact that I don't have to just think about a chain every time I'm going to a restaurant. There are all these different local ones. We were talking about, I think last week we were talking about plumbing, and, you see a lot of these plumbing companies getting bought up right now into these national chains or regional
VCs.
chains. Yeah.
It's like a VC thing. Buy up the local plumbing, buy up the local dentist, buy up the local hardware, put them all together with your stuff, and then fire the guy who sold it to you.
Yeah. And, now you've got, we do plumbing and HVAC and electrical and all, and it's just like, I just want Joe the plumber to come over because Joe and I have a good relationship, and I know that Joe's going to take his time and do it right. And many times I'm going to hear a little bit of stories about Joe and his family, which is perfectly fine with me, right? And it's hard to find those individuals, but when you do today, it's amazing, right? And those are the ones that they're going to fix it right. They're not going to upcharge you on things and all this other stuff. So, like, I would rather have Joe the plumber than, in that sense, than hire some company that's going to come out and charge me $200 just to come out and look at things. And then all of a sudden I've got a $4,000 bill for something and I don't even understand what they've done. I would rather have a local person that is more, more like us. And that's the lesson that I've learned dealing with local businesses here, coming out of Chicago and dealing in kind of the Northwest Indiana market, is that they're looking for somebody to handhold them a little bit more and not just to be told, all right, well, here's the money. This is how much it's going to cost. And I like those people more. And maybe it's personal opinion, but more times than not, you're going to get a better experience by dealing with those types. And many people run away from that. They're like, oh, I want to seem bigger than I am. Don't. And that was kind of I helped start a variety of businesses over the last 20 years. And many of the people are always like, oh, I want to show people I'm bigger than I am. And I'm like, why? Like, you're losing the local vibe by doing that. And that's a tough lesson to learn.
He's Matt Hansen. I'm Jim Dila. It's been episode 157. It's about likability, but we're going to name it Joe the Plumber. Until next time, see you later.